Hi, we are GRN, Team GRN, Global Rhinology Network. We are a non-profit organization with a mission to foster global education in rhinology and skull-base surgery. So we are on a journey to excellence. So we had our first episode featuring Cape Town. Now we are here for our second episode, which is
Pittsburgh, Centre of Excellence for Rhinology, so the place to be at the moment.
Absolutely, and it's not only the medical institute. Look at the building, it's amazing. The high rises with a very classical architecture. It's a great fun, and it's a lovely time to be here.
Yeah, the autumn colours are fantastic, really in the colours of Pittsburgh itself, in the gold and black, so should have a great time here for the
On our way, we stop at this war memorial to the fallen soldiers. So we paid our tribute to them. These are the people who sacrificed their lives to keep us safe. I have with my colleague Rennie. She's a rhinologist and skull-base surgeon from Imperial College Hospital Trust in London. So thank you, Kathy, for joining us.
It's a fantastic opportunity to be here. We're very lucky to be here at this time of year, and I'm very much looking forward to talking to everybody today.
We carry on further enjoying the beautiful sights of Pittsburgh on the way. Just arriving at the beautiful University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine campus and further towards the eye and ear.
So Ashok, who is going to be on top today?
I know, Kathy, who is on top of my mind, and that is UPMC eye and ear. So that's the anterior skull-base surgery. Wow, it's such a privilege to be here. This is the birthplace of the newest subspecialty in ENT, anterior skull-base surgery, and I can't wait to visit it.
Yeah, let's go and see what's happening.
The journey is really very inspiring. You are trained internationally and then joined Pittsburgh. So tell us about your journey and about your time in UPMC.
Correct. So I did my medical school internationally outside of the US, and I went through the match process and luckily ended up here. Always been drawn towards skull base, and very fortunately got to work with some of the giants in the field, like Dr. Al-Mefti and Dr. Cordwell. So always knew that this is what I want to do, skull base neurosurgery. And very, very interested and invested in the endoscopic skull base, and got to know how pivotal the role of UPMC and the University of Pittsburgh in the innovation and pushing the envelope for endoscopic skull base neurosurgery. Similar to what Dr. Zinonos had emphasized earlier, we're lucky here as part of my training in neurosurgery. In the 7 years, I get to spend 2 years dedicated to a fellowship. So I chose to do endoscopic skull-base neurosurgery with both Dr. Zinonos and Dr. Gardner from the neurosurgery side and the amazing faculty from ENT. I already completed my first year, and now I'm in my second year, and excited for this journey and what's going to come in the future as well.
Hi, Ever. Could you tell us a bit about your journey from when you started and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, so I'm international as well. I initially completed my first residency, surgical residency in Germany. Came over here to the US, did an open vascular fellowship and then separate open skull-based fellowship about longer. And then repeated my neurosurgical residency here in the US. And the one thing I thought I was kind of missing or lacking a little bit in competency was the heavy endoscopy skull-based surgery. And obviously that Pittsburgh was the option number one. As a matter of fact, Pittsburgh was the very first fellowship I have ever applied at, even from Germany from the get-go. So it's been a long journey, but here I am.
Can you talk about the fellowship and what you do? What is a typical week for you as a fellow here? What does your training involve, and what criteria is set out for you?
What time does it start as well?
I don't think I get my fellows that early.
So actually, it's not as bad as in terms of working hours with residency was, but it really depends. We have the 1 day of a clinic a week, so we alternate one every other week with Dr. Zinonos or Dr. Gardner. and then usually 4 OR days. Besides the ORs, and then, as you can imagine, they might be a shorter day, might be a day that goes to midnight, and, a couple of days in a row that go till midnight. We usually have to prepare the international skull-based conferences where we have international referrals, usually on pretty complex cases, which is very fortunate. Chordomas, chondrosarcomas, diseases that you don't usually see out of place very often. We have mandatory dissections. Besides, we can go to the skull-based lab anytime, pretty much, and do our own kind of practice on our own specimen. We have a mandatory dissection schedule, and we have reviews where we get almost like graded on how we dissect it. So it's been so far amazing experience in terms of the pathologies, the volume, the co-fellows I have. It's tough, but it's definitely worthwhile.
And does the neurosurgical fellow get the same experience as the ENT fellow, or what are the differences between the two? Or is it all very much one team?
So that's actually, I think Jason has to comment on that as well. I would say this is the first place of all places I've been that I don't feel like Jason is ENT and I'm neurosurgery. I feel like we are all, sorry, I don't want to miss out you, Sam, but so we're like all part of one team, and it's not really ENT or neurosurgery, but it's skull-based or cranial-based neurosurgery team. I don't know what you have to say about that.
Yeah, there are some skull-based cases where both of our teams may not be involved, but the vast majority is both of us. But the experience is a little different. I think that's with the understanding that even as a busy skull-based ENT doctor, you're going to have a practice that involves non-steam skull-based cases. So I'll be involved in advanced rhinology cases and things like this, which may not involve our neurosurgical counterparts. But otherwise, we spend, I think, the vast majority of our time together, because that's the emphasis of the fellowship, is learning how to work in a team and with an emphasis on endoscopic skull-based cases. But I will do, rhinology cases. We'll work with, today with our oculoplastic skull-based attending together. So it is a bit, we do spend some time apart, which is not the worst. Can you just talk us through an actual typical day, like what time you would get in, who you see, what you do rounds, etc.? Yeah, I can start with that. And I'll say typical day. So the OR start time is 7:10, and so the daily schedule revolves around that. And so typically I'll round. There's a resident team, which is fantastic to work with here. And they'll do rounds separately from me, so I'll round on whichever patients whose cases I've participated in. I'll probably do that usually around like 6:30, and then get to the OR around when before the patient's rolling in there. From then on, usually it'll be one skull-based case in a room per day that I'll participate in, and it'll be pretty variable, really how long that can go. That can go till noon or midnight or somewhere in between, but usually probably I'd say the average would be around 2 p.m. in that ballpark, depending on the neurophysiology situation of the day. And then after that, I'll typically work on some research, check in with the residents. Sometimes we'll be around for consults, things like that. Obviously, have a lot of academic stuff going on. Once a week, we have our grand rounds at 7, so then OR will start at 8. That's on Wednesdays. But that's kind of a nutshell of the day. That's the discussion.
And Sam, for you?
This year's definitely has been significantly better than the usual training. Residency, during residency last year, we used to come in usually at 4 a.m. in the morning, and the day would end around 8 to 9 p.m. This year has been great, as Jason alluded to, more time to think about the cases and actually study the cases more. So my day typically starts the same time, 6:30, 6:45. I see the patient that we're going to operate on in the morning and talk to them, examine them, go over the consent process, and then I usually go and see the patient I operated on the day before and round of these patients go to the operating room. And the day, as the guys mentioned, is completely variable. For us, usually between 1 to 2 cases, and usually my day is around 6 p.m., 7 p.m. That's the average. We have academic expectations. So aside from the dissections, there's an expectation of publishing 2 papers a year. There's an expectation of presenting in national meetings, so the North American Skull Society. So Evo, for example, got 3 abstracts, oral presentation. I got 5. Jason got multiple. And that's an expectation. It's like we take a pride that UPMC every year has to be one of the highest output in terms of skull-based research and in the literature.
I've been really impressed with kind of the data collection, all the data you guys keep on results and or how you look back on all your cases. So is it you guys who are responsible for keeping the database up to date and filling in all the details on the patients?
So it's, I would say it's a collaborative effort. We do have from the ENT side a very great research coordinator. What she does is she kind of codes the cases and the way, for example, we have endoscopic and nasal cases and open skull-based cases and different pathologies. But it ends up being there and like the date of surgery or the date of birth of the patient. And then we develop an idea with our mentors and then we ask for those codes, for example. And then we get a list of patients, 100, 150, 200, and what have you. And then we go through that list and we develop everything ourselves. So we collect the data ourselves and we do the analysis ourselves and we write the paper ourselves.
Fantastic.
That's incredible. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, and it gives us insight into what the life of a resident fellow is in your department and the amount of efforts that you put in. And I can see that we are with the future skull-based surgeons, the future leaders in the specialty, and that tells us that the future is in safe hands. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us and thank you for visiting.
Stealth Station ENT, the advanced image guidance system for the full range of navigated ENT procedures. Engineered with you in mind, based on decades of scientific, clinical, and engineering expertise. We're expanding what was previously possible with image-guided surgery. Flexible and elegantly designed, Stealth Station ENT streamlines the workflow so you can maintain focus. The flat, under-the-head emitter allows for an efficient setup. Its design allows for a large EM field. Easily find your patient's exam through a variety of network options, super speed USB or optical disc. The visualization and modeling features give you the perspective you need. Leverage data from multiple sources to create high-resolution 3D images. View structures and pathology with high fidelity. Registration expertly matches the three-dimensional positioning of the patient with the preoperative images used for navigation. Patient registration combines registration methods and provides numerical and visual accuracy feedback. Leverage the latest technology for advanced surgeries. See more, do more. The result? You have an image-guided perspective like never before. With Stealth Station ENT, you're at the forefront of ENT surgery. You are Stealth.